Okay. So I'm here. Are you guys there? Oh dear. Can you guys hear me? Can you see me? There we are. Okay. Hi.
Brilliant,
This
Michaela.
is strange. This is anyway, great. Okay, there's four of us. There's apparently 12 people somewhere. I
Waiting
don't
room?
know where they are.
Yet we will not be able to see them because
I
hello.
hope they can see us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one more. Elizabeth needs to come
Elizabeth.
still.
She may not have heard that. So let me text her.
Oh, you have yeah, great. Thanks. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start in the understanding that everybody can see us. We've got 13 participants altogether. So wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our breakout session, Breaking Chains, Building Futures, Human Trafficking Support and Advocacy. I'm Laurel Bosford, and I'm the founder and executive director of Wisdom International, Help to Others. We offer prevention before harm education against human trafficking. While not working directly with survivors, my nonprofit relies on trainings and educational moments like this to be sure we are informing the communities correctly about the services that are available to survivors. Just some basic housekeeping first. Please drop your name and organization into the chat and any other information you'd like to give us. Through the course of the breakout, put your questions also in the chat and we'll look at them together towards the end of the session. I want to thank the Archdiocese of San Francisco Restorative Justice Ministry and Julio Escobar in particular for the opportunity to bring together these ladies who are working hands-on with the survivors and who are here today to share their awareness of the reentry challenges faced by survivors of human trafficking. Reentry is not just about returning home, about breaking free from chains, locks, and bars of incarceration. It is true, some survivors of human trafficking have been incarcerated, but many have not. The long-lasting chains that bind all of them are not visible. They are invisible, lodged deeply within the psyche, where they manifest in a myriad of different ways, affecting one's mental, emotional, spiritual, and even physical well-being. This breakout and the whole conference is about breaking those chains of all kinds by replacing them with pathways towards rebuilding lives, restoring dignity, and renewing hope. If you're only just now joining us, please put your name and organization in the chat. And we have a great lineup of speakers with just one question for all of them. What are the services you or your organization offer to survivors of human trafficking to assist their reentry process? So let's jump right in. Our first speaker is Michaela Simmerall. Michaela, you can go ahead and share your screen, but I'll do your introduction. Michaela is the Director of Training Advancement at Shared Hope International, where she develops and delivers training to strengthen responses to domestic minor sex trafficking across all systems of care. Drawing on her experience as a victim services coordinator with More to Life in Florida's Suncoast region, Michaela brings deep insights into the realities survivors face and the challenges service providers encounter. Her earlier work as a local and global outreach director in the Washington, D.C. area sparked her enduring passion for social justice, both domestically and abroad. With a Master of Social Work from the University of South Florida and a Master of Arts in Ethnomusicology, Michaela integrates cultural competence and trauma-informed practices into her work. She lives in San Diego, California with her husband, two energetic children, and their shaggy black Labradoodle. So welcome, Michaela.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Is my volume okay? Everyone can hear me all right? Great. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. My name's Michaela. I've been with Shared Hope International now for about 3 years. I work fully remote from San Diego, California. Prior to working in the training team at Shared Hope, I was in the field working directly with survivors ages 10 to 24 who were CSEC verified. They were in and out of lots of systems-based care, child welfare system, in and out of DJJ. So I loved that I got to work directly with, I would say, kiddos, and learn from that to now apply it to how are we training people to properly work with and interact with kids who are either high risk or are being trafficked or exploited domestically. So with that being said, there's lots of exciting things we're doing at Shared Hope when it comes to reentry, when it comes to addressing the unjust criminalization of survivors and victims. And so I actually wanted to start off by showing you all, it's about 1 minute and 50 seconds. It's a recap of our podcast, which is called Invading the Darkness. And our podcast just had its 4th season wrap up. And we actually just filmed our 5th season at our conference in Orlando this past month. And this podcast really is a platform to amplify survivor voices. It's all survivor led. It's survivors saying, hey, this is us as humans. This is why it's so important to have our voice, not just in the fight, but at the forefront of it, and featuring what lived experience can do when you put it into practice. So I just wanted to show this clip because it is really powerful to see and hear some voices in the movement and how Shared Hope is trying to amplify them and highlight them when it comes to service-led provision. Okay. Do you all see the screen? Wonderful. I'll go ahead and play it.
Juvenile court judges, adult court judges, adult DAs. These are the people who should know the law.
With the Just Like Me campaign, it shows you that it can happen to anybody. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your beliefs are.
In California, we're keeping girls who are charged with those more serious crimes in the boys' units. These girls are in survival mode constantly.
Punitive in nature in the same way the criminal justice system is. It is still can be punitive in some ways.
Get somebody that you trust, get a lawyer, an advocate, somebody that you trust, and follow through.
The reason familial trafficking doesn't get reported is because people don't want to look at a parent as a bad person.
She said, oh yeah, no, I started when I was 10. And I'm like, 10's really young. Oh my gosh, I'd not heard 10. And she's like, it's okay. She's like, it was better than being at home with my rapist.
15-year-old little scared girl while the men were on top of me. I counted 5. After that, I don't remember.
40% of runaways are trafficked within the first 48 hours that they are missing.
Our story would just be a platform that changes things.
Yeah.
Because this should happen to no one.
When survivors speak, we don't just bring awareness, we bring change.
Shared Hope had really created a lot of tools and toolkits to be used for systems providers.
I am so proud and honored to be with these members of Shared Hope. I love all that you're sharing. It's going to be an exciting time. We're going to be transforming lives with every word. So please watch, subscribe. We want to see, we want to talk more.
So that's just a quick glance of all the episodes featured in season 4. A lot of those episodes are also embedded in them. We're featuring tools that we have and resources for service providers to use in the field when they are working with survivors when we're talking about reentry. So one of those tools that's featured in a few of those episodes from last season is our roadmap report, our 2025 roadmap report, which our Just Response Council created in collaboration. So that council is built up of service providers around the nation, lived experience experts. It's a really robust report that actually we, as a training team, we're turning it into a training using AI coming up in 2026. So that's a big project coming up that just helps people understand, all the way from prevention to what we're talking about here is, reentry and services and how we can best provide the very specific, responses that are needed that aren't necessarily systems-based, but are more community-based responses to survivors of trafficking. So the roadmap report is fantastic. You also may have heard in that video clip a mention of the Just Like Me campaign. So the Just Like Me campaign is a survivor-led movement. Yvonne, who is on Shared Hope's staff, is kind of spearheading this with some other survivors. And it's them coming together to say, hey, we need to speak up about the unjust criminalization of minors, because there's many states who still, there are kids who are still sitting in jail, and adults as well, who are sitting in jail for charges from decades ago that should not be there due to their own exploitation, due to their own victimization. So really, I know I'm trying not to go on and on about what we're doing, but I'm trying to fit it in this small moment that I have. I have lots of links. I will try and, I don't see a chat. I can try and put them in like the Q&A section, but I have lots of links for you all directly to go to on our website for some resources, and it's all free. That's the best part of our nonprofit, is we're able to provide you all with lots of free resources that are robust and connecting to other people across the nation.
So thank you, Michaela. I see there's a more button, but I don't see a chat. So go ahead and drop anything in the Q&A session, and we'll figure out how to sort of save it somehow. It's got to be available to us. So thank you so much. That's really enlightening. And I know that Shared Hope, I mean, I started out with you guys. We've just been working on this issue for a very long time. So it's really great to see all the new innovative stuff that comes along. So next, we would like to hear from Hediana. What I'm going to do is share her presentation. Let me get that up. Make it full screen. Get rid of this also. Okay. So, Hediana Utarti, the PhD, joined the Asian Women's Shelter in San Francisco in the year 2000. And for 14 years, from 2006 to 2020, she was their point person for their anti-trafficking program and services. Excuse me, responsible for direct services for survivors as well as prevention education. Previously, she lived and worked in Honolulu, Hawaii, earning her PhD in political science at the University of Hawaii, Manao. While working on her graduate degree, she was also co-director at the university's Women's Center and worked part-time as a support group facilitator at Honolulu's Family Peace Center. She brings her experience into her current position at the Asian Women's Shelter as community advocate and coordinator for volunteer programs, handling community building and engagement and prevention education for anti-trafficking and domestic violence. So welcome, Hediana.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura, for having me. And thank you, everyone, to be on the panel with me. Yes, I've been with AWS for about 25 years, and I will share with you what I have seen and what our experiences have been. I am a political scientist that's a little bit lost in this world of social services, but I'm learning, continue to learn. So next slide, please. So I'm going to share with you what do we do at Asian Women's Shelter. Very quickly, we are founded in 1988. We are anti-violence organization, and it started out as a organization that provides especially for survivors of domestic violence. But now we are providing services both for DV as well as human trafficking. We are survivor-centered and trauma-informed care and culturally aware organization. Next slide, please. We are founded in 1988, the first in Northern California, and we're probably one of the 3 shelters nationally at that time that offer culturally and linguistically accessible services. Next slide, please. So I'm gonna just share with you really quickly what we do. We have a shelter. Our shelter is the smallest shelter actually in San Francisco. We only have 5 rooms. So if we have about 15 people in the house, like 8 adults and 7 children, it feels full. We do have a crisis line 24/7 that we at night we work together with Women Inc. to answer crisis line. But most of our work is actually outside the shelter. So one of our largest program is called Transitional Housing and Economic Empowerment Program. So TH, as we call them, itself, they house survivors of both domestic violence and human trafficking survivor, about 60 families per year. So these families, they don't have to go through the shelter to get our help. They actually come through the city. Next slide, please. And these are our 3 programs, and I'm so sorry, one kind of come out really strange. Is our longtime queer Asian women and transgender support. This program started in maybe 1990s. As the staff realized that many of our staff are actually come from the queer communities, and there was not enough support for survivor of domestic violence in the queer communities. Anti-trafficking is part of that, and part of AWS, and also Arab Women Services. So some of our anti-trafficking clients are in the shelter. Some of them are staying in their own apartment supported by our transitional housing. So a lot of time, the clients are supported by 2 or 3 programs because they, you know how it is. They actually experience more than just one type of violence. Next slide, please. This is just a quick reminder for everybody, for our audience, that human trafficking or domestic violence and sexual violence often, they don't happen in vacuum. They happen in a continuous situation where clients are, where survivors are experiencing power and control from the abuser. Next slide, please. So what do they need when they come to AWS? Everything. If this is a pie, this is a pie of our life. A safe place to live, food and clothing, language support for those who actually don't speak English or speak little English, legal services, of course, ESL training for those who wanted to live in the US, international people who want to live in the US, and a lot of time independent living skills and thus job training cert. So basically, if people say find them a lawyer, that's not the only thing. You all know that. Life is just like the big pie of different things. Next slide, please. So what do we do? So in the beginning, in the first contact, we ask them if they need a shelter, if they need legal situation, and we need health care. And so Asian Woman Shelter is 38 years old, so we have a lot of connection with other organizations. We are actually riding the wave of our domestic violence work, which is San Francisco Domestic Violence Consortium. They actually help us out. So when we are not able to provide them with shelter, we will call other shelters to help out. Legally, we usually call all of our attorneys that we know. Laura, you met most of them. And healthcare, we try as best as we can to connect with as many clinics as possible. So the second stage is usually where we try to stabilize the client by providing some sort of long-term housing. We usually provide rent assistance for about 6 months or a year. If people need to go to church, to go to the mosque, we find places that is safe for them. Not all churches or mosque is safe for them because sometimes the abuser are, come from the same community. And then slowly we will, apply for government benefit, looking for education, etc. Our ultimate goal is actually for independent living, where they get, they're able to get a job that's regular, live in a safe place, and also reintegrate into the community where they started to have healthy relationship with new bunch of friends, not coming back to the previous life. Next slide, please. And how do they find us? Many times they found our client found us through our attorneys. So they probably talk to our attorney, and then our attorney connect them to us, or through other social services, and a lot of times into community connection. So I work in the Indonesian community. I have friends who work in the Burmese community. AWS have 42 languages, so we work with various communities. So a lot of the connection through the communities actually help us to reach out to the communities that usually will not ask for or hesitant to seek help. Next slide, please. So I'm just gonna skip this, but basically just wanna share there is a San Francisco human trafficking hotline. So besides calling us, you can also call this number, and this is run by our San Francisco Collaborative Against Human Trafficking. Next slide. Next slide, please. These are a quick note of barriers of seeking help. Not knowing your rights, shame, trauma, fear of authorities, deportation, etc., etc. And next slide, please. I'm just gonna make it into 10 minutes, Laurel. So what is our next slide? I can't remember now. And finally, if you work with our trans survivors or LGBT survivor, please, make sure that they are safe. Safe in terms of homophobia and transphobia. There are shelters out there who simply don't want to work with transgender people. So when you support a survivor, please advocate for them and making sure that our survivors are safe. So if I have 1 second, I just want to say most people, when they call us, if it is not the attorney, if somebody call us, they don't say I'm a trafficking survivor. They actually say, can you help me find a job? Can you find housing? And then when we talk to them a little bit more, we ask what's happening. Then slowly we found out that somebody is working in a restaurant and being harassed or almost being raped, and then they run away. And so the case is not actually somebody looking for a job, but actually a human trafficking case. So thank you. This is find me if you have more question or you want to talk to us more. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hidiana. I want to make
Can
sure
your contact
everyone.
information go in the Q&A too? Yes, Diana, that would be great if you could put your contact information in the Q&A.
Oh, yes,
Great.
yes, yes.
Yeah, that's good for all the speakers, actually. That'd be wonderful. Thanks for
Thank
that,
you.
Krista.
Yeah, thank
We're
you.
going to go ahead and move on to the next speaker. And I'm just bringing up your presentation. Hold on a second, get it to be full screen. There we go. So our next speaker is Vanessa Russell from Love Never Fails. In 2010, one of Vanessa's 14-year-old dance students was sold into human trafficking. She was eventually located and is now being restored. Since then, Vanessa has encountered many others who, like her student, were U.S.-born women, men, and children trapped in modern-day slavery. Vanessa's response was to launch Love Never Fails, a nonprofit dedicated to restoring, educating, and protecting those involved or at risk of becoming involved in domestic human trafficking. Love Never Fails has educated thousands of children and community members on human trafficking, opened 8 homes providing long-term safe housing and restorative services for 400 plus men, women, youth, and children impacted by human trafficking, and launched an IT academy connecting underserved community members with financially sustainable careers. Coming full circle, Vanessa's background stretches 23 years from earning her BS in computer science and information systems management to being a professor of the same, to currently pursuing a master's doctorate in psychology. She's a sought-out keynote speaker, a pastor co-leading the National Anti-Trafficking Causes Network, has authored the Fight for Love workbook, and is vice chair of a Family Justice Center, member of an interagency council, board chair of the financial group, and former board member of board chair, of a violence prevention coalition. She's one busy lady. She and her husband, Pastor Timothy Russell, are blessed to have 7 children and 6 grandchildren. Let's all welcome Vanessa Russell.
Thank you so much. I'm tired just hearing you read that. Well, thank you so much, Laurel, and I'm so grateful to be on here with some of people that are sheroes in the community, and so I'm thankful for this opportunity to share a little bit about what Love Never Fails does. And as Laurel mentioned, really this was not something that I was looking to do, but it just happened while I was serving inner city girls, very much like myself, who were living in poverty, some who were in foster care, and were having a difficult time in teaching them dance. And then this thing we call human trafficking happened to her. And that it was the beginning of really a beautiful journey. And it's been 14 years. You can go to the next slide. Since that day, or since that time frame. And since then, we have really been working feverishly, mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area, but we do have services that we offer nationwide, specifically our IT Biz Tech Academy. So just to tell you a little bit about the kinds of services, I'll go ahead and, if you want to go to the next slide, I'll kind of talk you through a few of the things that we're doing. And I want to say that most of the things that we do they started out of necessity for one person. So I never wanted to have a sort of a big program. I had my intentions of doing a grassroots program and continuing to work in my tech job. But as I began to encounter, as I did street outreach, and I encountered survivors that were being sold on streets or blades or tracks where people are sold, and they would tell me what they needed. And they would say, I need medical care, or I need housing, or I need a job, or I need childcare for my children, or I need, detox. And I would look for those services, and there were many, many gaps 14 years ago. Thank God there's more services available. But that's sort of how most of what we've created has been established out of necessity for people that we've been encountering. So we find missing children and adults. We have an investigator, and we have an online investigator and a physical surveillance investigator, and we have mobile case managers and mobile counselors that will support those efforts. And so we've been able to find hundreds of children and adults that are missing. Oops.
Oh,
go back.
Sorry.
No worries. And we also, as mentioned, we had to close one of our houses last year, actually earlier this year, due to lack of funding. So we have 7 houses. We house youth ages 16 and 16. Well, it's a transitional age youth home, 16 to 21. We house women and their children, men and their children, and just a whole, range of people in different configurations, depending on what stage of change they're in. We have, again, a street outreach. We go out, we meet about 50 people every day of the week, 10,000 people every year. We have our IT Biz Tech Academy. All of you are invited to our graduation. We have a virtual graduation coming up in December. I think it's the I believe it's the 11th for the virtual one, and we're graduating 300 students, 300 people.
Oh, wow.
And so please come and celebrate them. These are people that have worked really hard to pursue certificates at Google, Cisco systems, Agile Scrum Master, Microsoft, AWS, and pursuing careers and as sales reps with Salesforce curriculum. So really want to celebrate them. We do advocacy as well. We're up at the state capitol. We were co-sponsors of AB 379, of SB 1414, and several other bills that have made it a felony to purchase children in our state, which it was not a felony to purchase children until January of this year, if you can believe that. And then doing prevention education in the schools. And so we are part of the Protect Collaborative. We're one of the co-founders, which is in multiple states and has educated upwards of 800,000 children and educators nationwide. So if you want to go to the next slide. And so some of our outcomes, just so you kind of see what our impact has been, as I mentioned, 10,000 people were reached via outreach last year. And we were able to house 83 people, locate 16 people. We had 187 students last year. This year it's 300. So it's very cool to be able to reach people with these kinds of services that they have told us they want and they need. I'm going to go to the next slide. And so here's just, an example of our housing, program, just so you get a feel for our housing program. Our I Am Restored House is a restorative program that serves previously incarcerated men. And we partner with the Centerpoint Day Reporting Center. They provide case management and financial education and clinical care and workforce. And then we provide workforce development services in partnership with them, and the house. And this year we've housed 6 men in that home. So that just gives you an idea when we talk about the intersectionality between incarceration and trafficking and trauma. All of it is interconnected and many times, and we're very passionate about solving the issue of human trafficking and the root causes that lead to human trafficking, which are often poverty and homelessness and food depravity and so on. So we go to the next slide. Workforce development, as I mentioned, is a huge barrier. And if anybody is interested, I have a position paper that talks about the 114 barriers to employment, and talk about barriers when you've been arrested for your own victimization, as Michaela said, when you've had your family is hungry, when your family is when you're unhoused, when you don't have clean clothes to wear. These are all barriers to employment. So we remove those barriers by providing not just the training, but also barrier removal services and workshops and expungement clinics and things of that nature. And if you go to the next slide. And so since 2021, we've educated 258 formerly incarcerated individuals in our IT Biz Tech Academy, and we have housed 75 formerly incarcerated individuals in our housing programs. And this is with the overlay of human trafficking, either themselves or their family members, their mothers, their fathers. There's various, these things are not cookie cutter. So it's important to know that intersectionality between incarceration and human trafficking is there. And it's so important that we get ahead of it as soon as we can, as early as we can. If you go to the next slide. And then, of course, reaching as many people as we possibly can via our outreach services. As I mentioned, it was 10,000 people last year. And our goal is to reach people that are impacted by our current immigration climate, impacted by, and feeling vulnerable because they don't have food, for example, housing, and try to solve some of those issues with our mobile case managers and our mobile clinical counselors. And so, I think that pretty much describes the things that we do. It's a wide range of things. We invite you to refer anybody who you think could benefit from any of the services that we've talked about. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vanessa. What really wonderful. I've heard about Love Never Fails ever since I came to this area and started doing this work. So it's wonderful to have you with us here today.
Of course. Thank you.
So, okay, I'll go ahead and stop the share now. Stop the share. There we go. Our next look is going to be at the legal services and the angle of reentry process. I'm going to read something that Carissa Phelps has provided as an introduction. Compensation, restitution, and remission claims present daunting challenges for human trafficking survivors and families of deceased victims. Legal services, Legal services offer practical guidance on pursuing financial recovery through crime victim compensation funds. The $215 million packet, Backpage CDX Guide Federal Remission Fund. I made a mess out of that one. Anyway, and civil litigation. While money cannot undo abuse or make victims whole, these claims provide critical resources for healing, stability, and rebuilding. Survivors and the public will learn how to navigate dignity-centered advocacy, avoid pitfalls that compromise privacy or foreclose future opportunities, and will understand unique considerations for families who seek justice on behalf of deceased loved ones. Legal sessions bolstered by lived experience will equip attorneys, advocates, and community allies with concrete tools for supporting survivors and their families as they move towards justice and healing. So Carissa Phelps, JD MBA, is a California attorney, author, and survivor advocate who has led anti-trafficking initiatives for nearly 2 decades. She earned her JD and MBA from UCLA and her BA in mathematics, cum laude, from California State University in Fresno. As founder of Runaway Girl FPC, she strengthens community responses to trafficking while building pathways for survivor leadership. Her memoir, Runaway Girl, Escaping Life on the Streets, One Helping Hand at a Time, and the award-winning documentary Carissa chronicle her journey from juvie to justice. Carissa supports survivor leaders to transform systems while planning with them for long-term well-being. We'd like to welcome Carissa Phelps to our panel.
Thank you, Laurel. Thanks so much for the help. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Hediana and Elizabeth, all of you and everybody who's here as a participant, who does this work day in and day out, who supports the work that I and others are doing in this sort of race that we're in to help get information and resources to survivors. I know people aren't calling it a race, but it certainly feels like that. The compensation that you discussed and that we wanted to talk about here today in this short time frame, this little tiny little bleep of like what we have to discuss with just a portion of your participants, which I'm sure they had to choose where to go, right? I wanted to specifically focus in on with the Backpage remission process. There may be people who don't even know that exists. On your webinar and on your conference, this is about reentry. So I myself was locked up when I was 12 years old. Many victims and survivors were arrested, even charged with prostitution as children, and still are to date, sometimes charged with charges that are related to their trafficking and imprisoned or locked up. So Michaela talked about the efforts to assist people who are basically caught up in a justice system that was built to support and help them, but sort of ignored all the victimization that was going on. And they became the lowest common denominator to get off the streets and lock up. And I've heard all kinds of reasons about why we get locked up. It's because it's for our own protection. It's because we're going to get access to services. It's because, and it's very difficult for me because I was locked up for charges that were not related to specifically prostitution. Had I been charged with prostitution at 12 or 13 years old, I may not be sitting here today. So that's why I think it's important to understand We still are charging people with prostitution, and young kids and children get caught up in that across the country, around the world. And we need to make sure that we're addressing that. And so for this particular remission application, I think that almost everyone who is going to qualify, almost everyone, there may be a little sliver of people who are still minors, but almost everyone that we're speaking to are going to be adults because of the dates of trafficking that this remission, 215 million or plus, is available to victims. Because of the dates of trafficking that we're talking about on Backpage, started in 2004, went to 2018, then on City X Guide went from 2018 to 2020, and there's specific dates around it. Can you guys see my screen? I don't know if you can see the
It
remission
says to double click to
application.
enter.
Well, let me just check again. Well, let me just say that it is kind of important that we actually share the link to these. So I don't know if I
Yes.
could put it on a whiteboard or do something like that, but it is important that we share the links because there are people who are searching
I'll put it
for
in the
Backpage remission.
I'll put it in the
and
QA.
Okay. They're not, they're going to the wrong sites, and it's causing problems and heartache because they're not getting what they were expecting. So backpageremission.com is the official site that was built by the DOJ, approved by the Department of Justice and their money laundering division to help administer it. And there's an administrator that's hired that's overseeing this, Epic Global. And it's to help administer the large volume of claims that they think are going to be made for the remission funds that are available from people who were sex trafficked, and specifically were sex trafficked by utilizing Backpage or City X Guide. The 6 categories, just broadly, you could think of them as 3 broad categories, and then some of them are broken down into 2 more categories, but it's economic losses from the past, and then there's some future losses. Those are the 2 big categories, right? And then there's an other category that we'll talk about that's fill in the blank sort of idea on the application. But the past, the losses that can be claimed if someone is eligible, if they meet those eligibility criteria, they were sex trafficked and Backpage was utilized. And we know that Backpage was utilized by all types of different traffickers. It was utilized, and I do want to talk to you, Hediana, about, Asian massage parlors were definitely advertising on Backpage. We can go to the Wayback Machine and see that. They would advertise, several women would be available anytime, day or night. So we're talking about reaching a very difficult to reach population for all the reasons that you said in your slide, Hediana, that the threats of deportation, criminalization, shame, all of the things that you mentioned could be potentially preventing people who qualify from reaching access to these funds that could be life-changing for them. So no one is required to complete this remission petition, but it is an opportunity where the window is closing. The deadline is February 2nd, and the types of compensation that's available, it will vary, but the claims that could be made are for past losses. So anything that came out of their pocket that was paid for, so co-pays, or if they paid for attorney for their, maybe they had a custody case that was related back to the trafficking, or if they paid for an attorney for vacatur expungement and that came out of their pay, for instance, because I've heard of that with Asian massage parlors where the employer actually charges $5,000 every time they're ticketed for prostitution. They get a fee or a fine back to them, and they're having to earn that back. So if that was the case, if they hired an attorney, private attorney, and paid for it, those types of claims could go in and we would try to find receipts, right? We'd have to do the investigative work to try to find receipts for that. But also transportation costs and things for going to therapy, if they had a copay potentially for going to therapy, getting medical treatment. If there was medical treatment that needed to be paid for out of their own pocket, then that could be claimed as well. And then unpaid wages. So unpaid wages would be a calculation that the DOJ themselves, the money laundering team, they're going to calculate the unpaid wages based on the time someone was trafficking and based on federal minimum wage at that time. They're going to subtract things that went into that person's pocket. Sometimes money went into the pockets of victims, but actually was used to further the trafficking. So it was used for hotels or clothing or nails or pictures or something. And it's important that an attorney or an advocate work closely with the victim or survivor to explain, yes, this money may have went into my pocket for these things, but it furthered the trafficking. That's what it was used for. Or I was fined or something to that nature. If something happened where that money wasn't actually theirs and it didn't actually become theirs, then that would be they earned zero potentially for that whole time period when they were being trafficked. And then there's a question as to how many hours they worked per day. So many of the people who were victimized slept in these places where they were being trafficked. There's proof that they slept there in the raids. That needs to be presented as part of the evidence that they were being trafficked 24 hours a day. And so somebody doesn't stop getting trafficked. Most of the time when trafficking is happening, all the elements of trafficking are there 24 hours a day. But if there were breaks in trafficking because of incarceration or because they were separated from their trafficker or something happened, they went into a program, then those need to be explained on the application as well. So those are the past economic losses or medical costs or behavioral costs, if behavioral wellness costs. We've talked to some survivors who use the gym and things like that. Alternative care is also included, acupuncture, dentistry, eye injuries, skin injuries, tattoo removal. There's a long list of things that are available to them. And then, because I only have 2 minutes, I'm going to summarize this and say, show up at the webinar, learn more. We do a webinar with Love Never Fails, us as our sponsor, with Love Never Fails as our sponsor, and Vanessa's amazing team, Davina Carola, helping us host the webinar every week since July 31st, since Vanessa texted me when I was in Spain and told me that this fund was opened up. We have been working every Wednesday to get the word out. We try to bring in experts. This Wednesday, we're going to bring in Dr. Chambers. So on the 5th, expect to see Dr. Chambers on the webinar, giving an overview of what he's doing to evaluate and help with these treatment plans and these forward-looking costs that are also available for victims to claim. It does not mean they'll get the whole amount approved. We have to say that too. We have to say that with a big fat caveat. But we need to encourage and walk alongside victims while they make these claims. I believe as large as possible, so there isn't a disappointment when those funds are pro-rata down for them and they're able to get the greatest amount of help that they can. Thank you.
That's wonderful, Carissa. And everyone, please, we're going to put all of this information in some sort of a document for you, because the Q&As, nobody's posting anything yet on the Q&As. I do not see a chat version here on this particular webinar, but we will get all of this information from all the speakers and compile something and get it out to not only the people who are here at this breakout, but to the whole entire Reentry conference. And then I'm going to encourage it spreading around to every coalition that we have ever heard of, that is especially helping with the survivors. Everybody needs to know about this. And Carissa, you said it was February 2nd. It's the deadline?
February 2nd, 2/2. I would just think of the deadline as January. Just think of the deadline as January 31st, but it's 2/2, 2/2, 2/2. And
right. Okay.
If you need more time, be sure you ask the DOJ for it. Every organization that's out there, every survivor that's out there, start asking, start writing in, start saying you need more time and why. We all need to be advocating for more time.
Great. Okay, wonderful. So last but not least, we have Elizabeth Quiroz of Redemption House of the Bay Area. Elizabeth is an Indigenous global speaker, author, entrepreneur, and a graduate of Arizona State University, where she earned a Master of Arts in Social Justice and Human Rights with distinction. Her Native American roots are from the Mayan, Hyunyu, and people. I hope I pronounced that something close to it. Elizabeth. Elizabeth is currently studying at Liberty University to obtain her ED in Christian leadership, ministry leadership, with the goal of becoming a faith-based human rights activist and making a positive impact on the lives of those transitioning through the justice system. Simultaneously, she serves as program manager overseeing an interim shelter with Felton Institute, helping marginalized persons with co-occurring disorders, and she serves as a human trafficking victim advocate in the Bay Area. Elizabeth's passion for helping victims of human trafficking stems from her own experiences. Her childhood years surrounded by alcoholism, addiction, and being a victim of abuse herself, a foster care system that missed her signs of abuse and trauma, and an abusive relationship and being a victim of human trafficking, all of which moved her from system, foster care, juvenile justice, jail, prison. The same passion has, however, led Elizabeth to become a co-founder of the nonprofit The Redemption House of the Bay Area that will open a much-needed safe house for trafficking victims in Sonoma County. When in operation, they will also work to raise awareness about human trafficking and its long-term impact on the lives of victims. Elizabeth's final passion is to be a wife and mother who, alongside her husband, Jose Mico Quiros, is raising their children. So would you all please welcome Elizabeth Quiros.
Hi, everyone. I'm grateful and blessed to be here. So you might see a lag when I talk. It's just the reception here at my job, so forgive me. I sent a video. I don't know if it's okay to share that, or can I share my screen to show the video when the time comes?
Sure. Do you see the share button there?
I do, yes.
Okay, great. So that should work.
Thank you. So thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Elizabeth Quiros, and I'm just super grateful to be here. I am a survivor leader here in California. And my partner, Lisa Diaz-McQuaid, is not here today, but she is my partner in founding this organization and developing it and bringing it from the ground up. She is also Indigenous, so we're both Indigenous leaders. And so she's also a survivor, and we're both using our pain for purpose. We're using our past trauma experiences for something positive into helping other women find their voice and giving them places to share about their experiences, their trauma, give them a place to be heard, because a lot of the times when they're speaking up or when they reach out law enforcement or other members of their family or whoever they're reaching out to, sometimes they're not believed. And so that's why it's super important we have a space for them to share about their experiences and they're heard. So that's why me and Lisa founded this organization. We met in 2018, became inspired to start visioning about the organization, became a 501c3 established in 2021. And now we're just growing. And what we do in the Bay Area is we just go and meet survivors where they're at. We're in partnership with Love Never Fails. And we meet survivors wherever they're at. We go to the streets, we do presentations, wherever we can meet them, we bring love to them and awareness to them and offer the resources we have. So I do want to share a little video that we actually shared at our fundraiser on Saturday, just to kind of get a glimpse of behind the scenes of what we do. And then I'll talk about more of the services that we provide.
Okay.
Can you see?
I think it's still coming up. We see just a black screen.
Oh yeah, that's it. All right, let me play it right now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me figure this out. Give me 1 second.
Let's see. Sometimes you also have to enable sound.
Oh, there we go. We got stuck. Okay, hold on. Let's do this. Over here, yeah. Okay. Do you see it, like the Redemption House logo?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Starting to come in. Maybe it's, oh, there we go. Yeah.
I think you do have to share your sound.
Yeah, I think you have to, if you could pause it and then share your sound, because we're not hearing it very well.
Oh, you're not?
The share,
Yeah.
yeah, the
When you
share
go to,
sound is,
yeah.
go
Let
ahead,
me
Vanessa, go
stop
ahead.
it and let me try it again.
Yeah, when you go to share sound, share, then in the right-hand corner, there's a little button that you click where it says share sound. Click that.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, let's try that again.
Now on
There we
the
go.
feeling, I've been painting more, using more colors, using more variety stuff. It does relate a lot onto my journey. I think one way or another, I keep expressing myself, my feelings that I keep denying myself to recognize in the painting.
Up until I was 10, that was going on. I was being given methamphetamines, I was trafficked. I was basically told that if I didn't do what they wanted me to do, then they were going to hurt my younger sister.
He used to be really abusive with me. He used to hit me and get me drunk or use drugs so he can sell me to his friends. For so long, I thought that it was my fault.
You know, we pray that all the time. We pray, God, would you, people that are coming into the church and they hear the word of God, that your spirit would move in their hearts and that each one of you would walk out of those doors different. That's exactly what the Magi did. They went home a different way.
Healing never really ends. It's just a process, and I'm still discovering new things, and I'm still coming up with new ideas or making new realizations.
We know where we come from. We know what we've been through, and seeing that we're not alone, it brought us together. Definitely a family situation there. I couldn't avoid the situation with my family, but I can be a different person with my kids.
There are days when I get bitter. I get really bitter that I couldn't pursue that career that I wanted, or I think about, if I had gone straight to college at 19, where would I be? I could be so successful right now, or my career could be so much further along. But I cannot change that.
You could have done the most horrible thing, and God still loves you. You are still lovable. I am still lovable. I am still worthy, and I am still amazing. And so is everybody else. And it doesn't matter where that journey has taken you. You can still come back from it.
Great.
Okay, so that's just a little clip of the survivors we serve. There actually is a longer documentary that we have, but we kind of just took a little snippet for our fundraiser, and those are some of the survivors we serve in our organization. So we, like I mentioned, we are a survival-led organization. We are based in Sonoma County, but we serve all over the Bay Area, and we offer a peer-led support group. that serves survivors when they come to our group. And so we serve 18 and older and individuals that are, that identify as women. And so we serve those that when they come to the group, they come with their children. And so there's about 25 to 30 women that are in our group. And we, like I said, we partner with Vanessa, and whenever she comes across a survivor, she has them come to our group as well. Sometimes we have survivors joining on Zoom. And so we have an online platform, and that's where other survivors from all over the world will join. We have one that joins from Alaska. We have one joining from Hawaii. So we had one joining, I believe it was like London. And so we have, sometimes there's no resources in these areas. And so we have that online support where these survivors can join to be a part of a family. Because a lot of the times survivors victims of human trafficking go to the streets, or they're in that situation because of lack of family. So we are that family for them. So when they come to the peer-led support group, we are family together. We talk about what we're experiencing. We do life with each other. And we have a little playroom where kids can go and play while the moms are getting the support that they need. And so there's about 25 to 30 that join in person. And then we have about a handful that join on Zoom. And then we also provide dinner. So whenever they come, sometimes we've had survivors that are still in the life, and they come to the group just to like have a break from what's happening to them, have a break. They come eat, they fellowship, they feel a sense of family, and then they go back to that life. And that's where that sometimes we wish we could just stop them from going, but sometimes it's a mindset. And so we have to work with them to provide them the resources and support them and help them and meet them where they're at, so that they realize that they're important, that they don't have to be part of that life, that they're worth it. And then we just connect them with the resources that we're able to provide. And then we also have a clinician that we work with that does breath work. And so the survivors work with her to do one-on-ones, and she does breath work with them. She does meditation, whatever that looks like to help them through their trauma. And then we also do street outreach. We do street outreach here in Sonoma County, and we partner with Vanessa and Love Never Fails to go to outreach in San Francisco. So I was actually trafficked on the Blades in San Francisco, 20th and Shotwell and 17th and Cap. And so that's why I'm very passionate with partnering with Love Never Fails to go back to those very areas that I was trafficked as a child. And so we also go to the Tenderloins, and when we go there, that's like a really dark place, right? And it gets me emotional because when you go there, a lot of them are like, they're just, you can tell they're not even present. They're not even human. They're dehumanized, and you can tell they feel a sense of dead inside. But when we go out there, we talk with them. We ask them what their names are. And when we're talking and engaging with them, they wake up. And it's like they get humanized in that very moment. And there's like a spark of love that is developed. And so they talk with us, they engage with us, and they tell us their names and what they like to do. And it's like, nobody wants to go to those places, but that's where we go. We go to those places and we bring love to them, and we bring resources to them, and we bring the purses, because Redemption House has a connection with purses, with a whole bunch of hygiene goodies, jewelries, quotes. Love Never Fails puts their bracelets and information in these purses in the Flower Charge support group, and we bring it to them. And we also provide food. Love Never Fails are at the corners, like having a whole stand for donuts and coffee. So it's like, it's beautiful to see, because in those very moments, it really builds relationship, and it really humanizes these individuals, and it gives them a purpose. And you just never know, because of that experience, though, they want more help. And so we do outreach, and hopefully we'll be doing outreach in Vallejo as well. And so we also do presentations. So we go to the communities and we spread awareness about human trafficking awareness. We implement our stories, because it's important to hear from a survivor's perspective, and for survivors to just be a part of the discussion. And that's where we work with the survivors in our group. Like a couple of these ladies are in this documentary is from our group. And so we empower them to share their story when they're ready. And it gives them a sense of purpose. Like not all of their past trauma is going to go to waste. They're going to use it for their superpower. And it just builds their confidence. Like it pushes them to go to school, want to be better communicators, want to be better moms. It just inspires them to do something different. And then we also offer mentorship. So we work with the survivors we serve on a daily basis. And so we work with them, we walk through life with them, and we just support them. And we also, so my partner Lisa also has a group called Voices, and so it's for the Indigenous community, for individuals that experience exploitation due to ceremonial exploitation. And so that's from it's also connected to missing and murdered Indigenous women, missing and murdered Indigenous people. And so with that group, she serves that group and she supports them. A lot of the time, statistically, Indigenous individuals are not being heard and their cases are not being highlighted when they're being trafficked. A lot of trafficking is happening on reservations. And so that's something that we partnered with Vanessa as well, bringing awareness around missing murdered Indigenous peoples. And so, and then just encouraging people to get educated around ceremonial exploitation and how medicine men within the Native community use spirituality to lure individuals into trafficking. So we just have to be mindful of that. So I'm super grateful to be here. I'm grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. And just look us up, Redemption House of the Bay Area. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It's been really important for me to learn what you guys are doing up here in the North Bay area. It is the area I live in as well, and especially the Indigenous angle is just super important. I'm not Indigenous myself, but there's something in my heart about the Indigenous people. And so I want to thank you and everybody for all of the work that we're doing here. It's really great. So we've come to the end of our speakers, and I've been checking the Q&As. There's nobody who has put anything in there yet. And for those of you that are in the audience, we can't see you. So raising a hand or something like that is not gonna work. You have to drop it into the Q&A area there. And I will, in the meantime, see if I can get us back on gallery. There we are. We've got all of us, right? So until that happens, we do have, not quite 10 minutes more, but why don't we go ahead and give some final comments, everyone, okay? And if there's a Q&A that pops up, we will interrupt. But let's go in the same order. Michaela, any final comments?
I just feel honored to be on this panel today. So thank you everyone for speaking. I guess my last piece is just lean in, learn more, raise awareness, and don't be afraid to talk about this topic. Don't be afraid to, learn more when it comes to how you can respond to kids and to adults who have been trafficked.
Great. See, we do have a comment that came through from Sharon Birmingham saying, listened to all. Thank you for sharing the great work you do. My goal was general interest in as part of the SF Diocese. So there you go. You've made an impression on the Diocese of San Francisco, Archdiocese of San Francisco. So Hediana, hold on. I've got another person that has very, very strong impression from Sharon again. Thank you.
Thank you.
So go ahead, Hediana.
I probably forgot to emphasize that we have been working with 42 languages because there are quite a few folks that was brought here from another country, sometimes brought here as a wife, as a spouse, and then end up working in the, in the husband restaurant, in the husband's whatever businesses with no pay. So they are, survivors of both domestic violence and human trafficking. So give me a call if there's anyone that needs some kind of language access, etc. Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. We still have nothing else in the Q&A. So Vanessa.
Just wanted to thank everyone for just the hard work. And I guess the last points I'll say is just to encourage everyone to do the self-care that they need to make sure that we are well, because there is a lot going on in our communities. And I've just noticed like my staff has been feeling it lately. And so I've just been trying to emphasize, take your breaks, eat well, get enough rest so that we can go for the long haul. So that's what I'll leave us with. Thanks.
That's great words. And I've actually been saying that to friends of mine. I said, I'm normally pretty level emotional. I, don't let a lot of things get to me, but there's just so much of it out there right now that even I am like, oh, what's going on? So, Carissa, what do you have as final comments?
Well, first of all, Vanessa, your background is perfect because you put us on your shoulders. You don't ever try to stand on top of us or go above us. And so seeing Elizabeth here, hearing from her, hearing she's connected with you, I just want to know how. I don't know her yet. But okay, that's okay. But we need to get to know each other, and she's a homegirl for sure. But like it's so heartwarming to know what you do for all of us, and you do it so well. So thank you for doing that. And yeah, I'm sure your shoulders get tired. I'm sure they get tired because we're all standing on them. And then, I think that my last bit for specifically the Archdiocese, specifically the Catholic community, being Catholic myself, is that we need access that you have. You have access. Internationally, you have access to victims. They will come to you. They will come to you for support if you get the word out about the Backpage Remission, about other resources that are available to them. But use this as an opportunity, use this short deadline as an opportunity to not make excuses, to not have the perfect flyer, not have the perfect website. You don't have the perfect anything, but to get the word out so that people know that we care. Because even people hearing about this remission program are going to know they matter, that we care about them, and we want to get the word to them. So please contact me if there's anybody in the Archdiocese or beyond that wants to help get the word out, both widely, internationally to billions of people, and then also into the prisons, into the prison systems. The church has access that I don't have. So if we can also get the word out through those programs that are already in existence and let people know that they qualify. We know so many women were incarcerated, criminalized, they still are. So please, please, and also all genders. We're targeted in different and various ways, and specifically on Backpage, it was an equal opportunity destroyer, right? It was that type of place. So we can, boys, young men, people that turn to crime to cover up or turn to substances to cover up some of their pain and experiences, we need to reach them as well. So thank you. Thank you, Laurel, for
Thank
being
you, and we'll make
persistent
sure to
and
get all
reaching
your
out.
information. We'll make
Thank
sure
you.
and give that to everybody that we can. I see there
Thank
is
you.
a comment from actually a friend of mine from Colorado. So there we've already gone outside of the Bay Area. Christine Jennison says that she'd like to share some brief comments about prevalence of online trafficking these days and what you're seeing in that way.
Yeah, it is everywhere. I'm at a conference this week. It's interesting that you asked Tech Against Trafficking, where we'll be talking about that. We'll also talk about other ways technology could be used to prevent trafficking. Data is a big, it's something that Vanessa in her program trains on. How do we manage big data? How do we manage this information to do good, right? To end up doing good with it. So we do need to know more about how people are trafficked and recruited and groomed. One small fact I could put out there is about OnlyFans. Michaela knows this. She invited a speaker to come and present at Just Conference who we need to hear from about agencies that are used within OnlyFans, and they're used all over the world to lure people in to start providing videos and content for OnlyFans, and it goes further past another line. It sounds very familiar to my friends who were trafficked and lured in originally through modeling or through videos or through something that seemed innocuous and turned into full-blown trafficking or pornography. So online trafficking does exist. It exists in different forms: grooming, advertising. It could be used for various ways to accomplish trafficking.
Yeah, unfortunately. So again, last but not least, Elizabeth, any final comments? And we sort of have we are out of time, but I hope it doesn't cut off. I'm sorry if it does.
No worries.
But go
Just to attend more webinars and reach out to the resources that are here today. We're here to support. Thank you.
Well, and yeah, I'm very, very happy for all of you, that you've come, you've shared your wisdom and your ideas and what you're doing. And it's just been really very, very good to have you all together here. Thank you so much. What I do want to make sure that we mention is to stay in touch with the Archdiocese of San Francisco. And because they are going to be putting together a directory of services, and they want to make sure that the human trafficking section is in their directory. So we will make sure that you have the information you need for that. It's in the process. It's kind of in the idea process right now, but it has been spoken about, and they are going to be compiling it. So don't forget that. There's also in 2 days' time, and Carissa, somehow we'll make sure that we get this deadline announced at the in-person continuation of this reentry conference. They've broken it up this year into this webinar, and then in 2 days' time in San Francisco at the St. Mary's Cathedral, which is 1111 Gough Street, San Francisco, from 10 till 3 is going to be their resource and job fair. They are also going to be having a special clinic for um, uh, yes, the word has just flown out of my expungement. There we go, expungement clinic. That's, every now and then this happens, right? They will have a special expungement clinic happening on Wednesday at St. Mary's Cathedral. So make sure that you know of anybody that has needs of that kind, that they can go ahead and be there. It's a free clinic as well. The free, part of the
And you could
reentry
send me
conference.
information on that. Is that on Wednesday?
That's on
You said
Wednesday.
maybe
Yeah,
on Wednesday?
November
Okay.
5th. Yeah, November 5th, St.
I'll be
Mary's
at this other
Cathedral.
conference, but if I could send somebody there, I will do that as well if that would be
Great.
helpful.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
know
And there'll be
Vanessa
all
knows who I've
sorts
got
of
in mind,
resource
but
tables. No, that's good. Send anybody. And that's about all. That's the announcements I wanted to make sure and make. Oh yeah, there is a if they're going to be coming to the resource fair, then they do have to register. So it's Reentry Conference SF, all strung together, Reentry Conference SF.org. And then you'll see the little register button up top, normally top right corner. And then that way they will have their name on the list and won't have any trouble coming in. So everybody else, we're kind of in the Bay Area, except for no, Michaela, you're not, but the other of us are. Maybe we can
thank
all meet
you.
there. All right. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
everyone.
Thank you
Let's
for
see one last
organizing
check
us,
for the
Laurel.
Q&As.
Thank
No, no more
Mhm.
Q&As, but great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Laurel. Bye.